Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Going into part 3 of today's episode of Roll20 Presents The Burning Wheel. We've just completed our first Duel of Wits. Congratulations. Nice work, everybody. Good coaching, team.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew.
So, I've started a new screen here where I'm keeping track of all of our Duel of Wits. And when they happen, so we can go back and refer to them. I'm excited to have our first one listed up on there. Let's carry on. So where should we go to now? Is there a scene we can envision that contains multiple characters while Lady Alessandra is doing her thing?
I mean, I still need to talk to Agata, because she owes me the interpretation of the dreams that she listened to and was gone by the time I woke up. So, there's that. Other than that, I can be involved anywhere, just as long as it's courtly.
Okay. Well, it seems like Agatha, Joy, and Miro all have some kind of like reason to interact.
I also need to talk to the king, but like that, if anybody else is like kind of doing noble talk, then I can get in on that sort of thing.
Okay. So maybe Agatha, you've been called before the king.
Fun.
Called before the king outside. Like I think this is like at night. The court has kind of like dispersed for the day. Joy, you're there because the king wants you around because the king needs cheering up.
I'm always around.
And the queen is off doing something else. So it's the king. I think he's called you to one of the rooms that he goes to. Joy, the choice of location for this is it says something about the meeting. So the king,
it's like more secretive.
No,
it's very clandestine.
No, it's that he's gone here because he's feeling like uncertain or like he goes here to try to like get square with his ancestors. This is an old part of the castle, not often visited by the courtiers. I think that it's full of, it's a stone room with a big burning hearth, and a huge old chair, and it's as much like a hunting lodge in here as it is like a castle room. So he's got there's a stuffed bear with several stuffed like wolves at its feet. There's a big diorama of like the wolves fighting the bear. And it's old, but it's masterful. It's masterful taxidermy. The light of the fire is casting these wolf shadows on the wall. And he's sitting in this big chair, and he has a glass of some kind of like some sort of liquor that is of the area, probably made of like distilled from pine needles or something. And yeah, he's sitting in this chair staring into the flames. And Joy, where are you in this scene?
Well, I would not deign to sit upon a seat unless given the option. So
yeah, there's a big like fur. No, the dog, the hound.
Oh God, the dog.
No, but the hound belongs to the queen, or at least in spirit, right? It's the king's hound, but like the queen loves him most. And so
she don't got a baby to love.
So the harsh. And so there's like animal skins on the floor in front of the fire, where the dog would normally be sitting, but there's an empty space there that you can be reclining in, and it's there's this roaring fire. You can hear it in the air, right? It's like filling the room with this crackling. And
yeah, I mean, I think I'm definitely going to get as sort of like close without burning myself to the fire that I can get, because it's unusual that I have access to such warm and comfy spots within the castle.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about a nice meeting room here. Comfy fur, fire. As long as I say a couple of things, it's all good.
So the king has with him two things, and these are objects that you, Joy, he's particularly attached to in times of uncertainty. Sitting at his side is his like grandfather's greatsword. It's big, tall iron blade. It's in its sheath. The sheath is carved beautifully. The paint on it, old. There's it's been used in many a battle. He could recite every battle this sword has ever been used in, and it's sitting at his side, leaned up against the chair, and in his lap he has the family Bible. It's an ancient tome from the earliest days of the spread of this religion out here, and he has it in his lap, and he's not reading it, but he's got his hand on the cover,
It's there,
and it's just kind of absently like touching the smooth leather of the cover. And when we say books, like I know for context, it's huge. It's like a big like tome,
Like
right?
a tome, yeah.
It's not like a little guy. It's like a big one. And he's got it in his lap, and he's just kind of like touching it, absentmindedly staring into the fire. And he's called for Agatha to come before him. So Agatha, what are you? I guess this is we begin on your entrance.
Yeah, so she kind of like fumbles her way in to the room and like.
Is it traditional for the servant that comes to collect you to like, give you their arm? Like, does a servant lead you in, or do they just show up at your house, show up at your room, and are like, the king needs you, witch?
Well, yeah, it's dependent on whether or not they like me enough to do that. Because like Agatha would take an arm if it was offered.
All right,
but I feel
which
like
one
a
of
lot
these
the time
which
it
one of these
isn't.
two is it?
I mean, there are rules for this, Adam.
Well,
There are ways to
I mean, the thing
determine.
is, I don't think that we need to roll for this. I'm just
We don't
curious.
need to circles up this person.
No,
Yeah,
unless I mean they're gonna leave, right? They're not invited to this meeting, so.
yeah. How do you? I don't know. It's your setting. Do you think these people like is everyone in the castle really superstitious?
I mean, they're all really
They're pious.
religious
they're pious,
tradition?
violent.
they're pious people. So yes, I
I
think
mean,
Yeah.
don't you have a your reliable oracle or whatever? So that kind of like
yeah, but that's a reputation that sets you apart, not makes you friendly, right? Like,
Mm.
stop reading my
I feel-
mind, witch.
okay.
I feel
So
like
reliable
I've
oracle
set-
isn't something nice.
Sorry, Dave.
I feel like I've set in motion perhaps the possibility of people turning against you, but the fact that you're respected in court, I think, would be a nice starting point, because I'd like to try and change that eventually, but maybe we don't see signs of it yet.
Here's the thing. Some people, if you had a reputation for being the world's deadliest assassin, some people would be like, "Oh, that's cool." Most people would be like, "Get the fuck away from me." Right? Like, please don't kill me
Yeah.
or anyone I know or love. So the servants in the castle, they never benefit from your oracular abilities. So they're just like, ew, no.
Yeah, they don't get, and they're
Most
most people are afraid of me.
You're a
I'm
witch.
spooky.
There are parts of the book that sit in the king's very lap that say you should be thrown into that fire. So they're like
I'm around because I'm useful, not because I'm loved.
useful so far.
Hey, that sounds like me.
So you come into the room, as you say, stumbling, and what I think happens is you trip a little bit on a rug.
It's like
and-
on one of the fur rugs.
Yeah. You hear, but don't see. You hear the sudden swift clattering of plate armor, and you feel a strong hand like grab you before you fall, grab you by the arm, and like help you up. And just like the quietest voice says, "Watch your step, grandmother."
Yeah, and I like put out a hand kind of, like vaguely to the like breastplate.
Yeah. You feel the
Yeah.
smooth surface of a metal armor.
I say, I'm always careful. Who put this dead thing here? And I like toe the animal skin at my feet and like shuffle it like because it like a lip of it had like folded over and it wasn't flat anymore.
Yeah.
So I straighten it out with my foot, and we see like Agatha's bare foot like laying it flat with like this abrupt motion.
Yeah.
And then my familiar like sneaks in through the door right before it closes.
Mhm.
Would have been quite a fall. Good thing our dear protector has such quick reflexes, even in that mountain of iron.
And like very quietly, just as quietly as she was nice to me, I return a courtesy. I'm just like, thank you, dear. I'll be fine now. And then I like walk, like feel my way through the room towards the heat of the fire, probably.
Totally. Yeah.
And of course, Agatha stands such that her shadow and the shadow of the wolves on the wall mingle, and it becomes confusing as to which one is hers and which are the wolves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the king doesn't look at you, like whether he knows you're even in the room or not. Like he's just staring sullenly. Sullen is the word for the king right now. He's staring sullenly into the fire. I think this is the thing that's true of him enough that I'm going to give him a trait. He's a sullen man.
he sounds very dour.
Yeah, I mean they're different. Sullen is like yeah, I think this is like he has some secret pain.
Yeah, he's like torturous on the inside.
I think with Agata's like introduction as well, this is the point where I'm kind of like, okay, I gotta do stuff, you know, like at least until the king tells me to shut up.
Mhm.
So I sort of stand up from where I've been sitting and say like, and walk past the king to like, because if he's staring the other way, like walk past towards Agata, and say like, our dear sovereign has been waiting for you for quite some time. I understand that it must be difficult for you to get around, you know.
Oh, I never get lost in the castle.
Neither do I.
Of course.
However, pray that you don't get lost in this conversation.
The
It's
most
been a
tangled
little-
woods of all are made of words.
It's been a little tense.
Well, if he gets bored, I'm sure the king can use that sword of his. Because Agata just knows that it's there without seeing it, right?
Gingerly, like, look over towards it, like, yeah, that doesn't come out that often. What the fuck?
I mean, literally never.
Yeah.
There's never been a war that this king has participated in. You know, he comes from a lineage of conquering heroes, but the last few generations, like his father and him, they haven't really like.
It's been peaceful.
There's been nothing.
here.
There's been no dragons to slay.
Right. Well, your grace for kings?
Yeah.
Your grace, I say, like turning back towards him, you know, like theatrically. But pray I not interrupt your important meeting. I'll just be over there if you need me. Speak up.
And so, yeah, when you say your grace, the king kind of blinks and he looks over to Agatha as if he had forgotten he called for you. And he says, "Oh, yes, right." Stares back into the fire, and he says, "Oh, it is your Majesty for kings." Okay, so he stares back into the fire, and he says, "The priests say that God is dead. What do you think, witch?"
Everything dies. Why not gods?
Were you around when his dad died?
Let's see. How long have I been a court sorcerer for? I've been a court sorcerer for 8 years plus 1 year of lead-in. Before that, I was a rogue wizard.
So probably.
So I was around. I was around,
Sure.
but I wasn't in the court.
Yeah. Okay, so I don't know. I feel like his dad died when he was like, he's been the king for a longish time, like since before he was really like an adult.
Yeah, like he was a child king.
Yeah.
Or like an adolescent king or something.
Yeah.
His dad died early enough to give him some like issues, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think he says, I'm not well accustomed with death. Especially not this sort. And he turns to look at you and he says, I don't feel any different.
Why would you?
When my father died, it mattered. I could feel it. It was a cloak of rain I wore for... He kind of like trails off.
Well, meaning no disrespect and not to bring this into question, but the only thing that god ever did for you was prop up your throne. He did not raise you. His hand was not on yours to teach you to use a sword.
I'm sort of like nodding in the background, like, yep, mm-hmm. Yep.
And you can see him scowl, like his forehead like wrinkles, and he shakes his head and he says, "The Lord God is as father to us all. I don't know what growing up in the woods was like for you, but as a child I was always surrounded by priests and monks. Their guidance..."
Oh, wait. I'm laughing.
What is that like?
It's me quietly on this blanket. It's a serious conversation about God going.
Yeah, you interrupt the king with your snickering, and he looks over at you and he's like, "Have you something to say, fool?"
My king. Death is so grand a thing as to not pay attention to us all singularly at once, you know. That you could think that it would treat us all the same surprises me, is all. I could not hold my amusement back. Your father, an august, majesty, perhaps more important locally than this grand divine.
He's gonna like mumble away. I think he scowls, and he says, he says, "The patriarch may say that God is dead, but in this castle, in this kingdom, I am your God, Joy. Do not forget this, and I am very much alive. You do well to remember that the next time you blaspheme."
You have and always will be, of course, my lord, my God. Yes, you are. I am at your beck and call.
Quiet. And he turns to Agatha, and he says, Have you never then felt the grace of God? Have you not walked these halls and felt his presence in your heart?
Yeah, Agatha's like,
whoa, wait, hold on. Was that a boast? Did he just call himself God?
Yes, he did.
Okay, well, I have to.
I mean, this is where you have your parting shot, right? Where it's like, oh yes,
Yeah.
of course you're God, but then like you're like, but God's a prick. Like,
I have to confront it with an ugly truth. So, he's like, I am and always will be your God. Sorry, I have to interrupt.
Sure,
that.
yeah, we can rewind. So he's like, yeah, in this castle, in this kingdom, I am and have always been your God. You would do well to remember that.
My God, you may be, but God to everyone? Maybe not.
All right, so what's the ugly truth here? What are you?
The ugly truth is that he can't possibly be as important as God is. Like,
even in this kingdom, right?
Even
he can't
right
possibly
here,
be that
as
important.
the king of this place, the idea that like he would call himself God is blasphemy in and of itself.
All right, and do you want to humble him? Is that the point here?
Yes.
Yeah,
the
humble
idea,
a motherfucker.
The idea is that I want him to reconsider calling himself God, basically.
Okay. Let's call it Ob 3. And if you succeed, yeah, you'll remind him he's just a mortal man, which is what he's already kind of struggling with. Go ahead and take an advantage die, because you're hitting him where he's weak, right? Because he's just like, he's sitting here being like, I'm only one man. How do I handle
contemplating
this shit? And then you're just
death
like,
and his own mortality.
You're nothing.
Would we call this? I would call this ugly truth, and then I'm seeing if I can fork in anything. I don't think I really can. I've got like conspicuous, but I don't really.
You don't have anything religious, or
I don't think. Yeah,
you don't have king wise or death wise.
I think I've just got the one.
But you have the
modifier.
advantage die from the situation being good. If you fail, I think
Kick you literally out of the room.
I don't know that he would kick you out of the room, but he would. God, he would feel the need to prove you wrong.
Yeah, sometimes a joke falls flat, and sometimes that joke is followed by violence.
But But in
Oh,
this
sorry,
case,
ob 3.
yeah. Cool. But in this case, you're fine. You got the successes you needed.
Yes.
So he looks at you and scowls, and he says to Agatha, "Seems the fool agrees with you." And he sighs and he says, "I don't know if that raises her or lowers you."
I'm just
Sometimes a
I'm
simple mind,
grinning from ear to ear, white teeth in a gray, complexion.
a simple mind can see plain truths sometimes. That's all.
I feel sometimes as though I'm living in a parable to be written. A
It's
king
the
who's
place of kings to be in stories.
Aye, and is my story to be, there once was a king and an old blind woman and a fool? I should have better stories than this. And he taps the Bible history, because these
Yeah.
books, every family has a book like this, right?
And yeah, Agatha's doing that thing where she's like standing next to him and just like talking into the room. And she doesn't like look at people when she talks.
Yeah.
So she's more like addressing the fireplace
Yeah.
half the time.
I'd like to be doing one of these while you're looking in the direction of the fireplace and just like waving my
Yeah.
hand, like seeing if you can follow it at all. Just being a dick.
Yeah.
And so you brought me here to ask me something, and it'd be good that you know that I gave up sight of the present that I might see the future and the past. I cannot answer questions about right now. I can tell you about what was and what will be. Now is for you.
He shakes his head. No, not for me, for my people. And he sighs because he's like, my people, I'm alone here too. Like, you're
Yeah.
from elsewhere. You're from elsewhere.
And how many other people have you told about the things that will be? Some people waiting forever, it seems. I say, you going like, you owe me some shit here. Like,
Yeah, I think the king is gonna notice that you're like having a conversation that doesn't have anything to do with him. Like he's gonna pick up on that unless you're trying to be subtle.
I'll call it subtle.
You want to try to be, I don't know,
like
inconspicuous?
inconspicuous, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, well, I'm really bad at it, so let's find out. What's the ob?
It's a versus test. He's gonna roll his observation.
Okay.
And I think he's fairly observant.
You don't get to be king without knowing a few things.
Yeah. Okay, sure. So let's have you roll.
Cool. I'm gonna spend a persona.
Okay.
Get an extra die.
Sure.
I didn't roll. Why didn't it roll?
I don't know. Did you get the prompt?
No. Okay, hang on.
Would you like to try again?
I don't know why that didn't roll. Oh, fucking.
There it is. Okay, so you got one success. You'll need to re-roll that 6 if you want to beat him.
Sure, let's
But
do
you
it.
got
Doesn't
tons of faith.
Ty goes to the defender, Adam.
Yeah, he's defending against being
He's
lied
defending
to.
against my
Oh, I see. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Boom.
There you go. Nice. Okay. All right. So he doesn't notice the remark, but Agatha, you do. Right?
Yeah.
Do you say anything? Do you respond?
Agatha just says, it's a simple thing to tell a fool's fortune. The only one that doesn't know it is the fool herself. And then I fucking
Snap.
and this is to silence her. This
Right,
is to be like,
butt out.
I'm doing shit. Shut the fuck up. Stop getting your this actually is my second belief, right? There is no room at court for other soothsayers.
Right.
Right.
So
This is
maybe- I
her
think-
edging in on my racket, and I'm just like, no, you shut the fuck up.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, this feels like there's a test here. There's a fight to be had.
This is an ugly truth, right? I'm just being like, you're so unimportant that nothing noticeable will ever happen to you, is what I'm telling her, right? Just like,
So if you succeeded this ugly truth, then what joy?
and it's the point of me saying this isn't to make her realize that what I'm saying is true. It's to get her to just like, it's just to cow her, to silence her, right? Just be like, the grown-ups are talking. You're not going to talk right now, because we're important and you're not. And also that like, I feel like this is me beating her at her own game to a certain extent as well. If I pull this off, right? This is me using cutting language to like shut someone down in the same way that Joy does to other people.
And if you don't, I'll bite back.
Of course.
I think, I think it could just be an ugly truth versus test here, right? Like you can say a rebuttal, Joy, and then whichever of you wins gets, I guess what do you both want here out of this scene? You'll have an opportunity to do that.
I want to embarrass Agata.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Of course, right? That's all she
And then
wants.
Agatha, you want Joy to just shut the fuck up while you have a minute with the king.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. I think if we agree to the stakes, let's have you roll an opposed ugly truth. Who can bring up the ugliest truth? And I guess, Joy, what are you saying?
Oh, my rebuttal is just I might not be important, but here I sit in this room alone with the king and the lady protector, and you have to be called here.
There you go. All right. Ugly truth off. So, what do people have forks?
Unless I can fork slavery wise, I'm kind of not. Yeah.
How many dice are you rolling, Elf?
4.
4. Okay.
Want me to roll?
Yeah. I don't think any of my wises fit here, so.
Two.
Okay.
Three.
No.
May I remind you that I am a spooky witch.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, cast in the like wolf shadow, from the fire.
And I think to punctuate this, like you talk back to her, and then she just like actually turns and makes eye contact with you with her blind eyes, and then like in the background you see her shadow like grow. It's like this vision, this like wolf-like shape on the wall behind her, just briefly.
Yeah.
In some like trick of the light.
I just wave my hand. I just wave my hands in front of myself and just settle back down on the rug. Like, fine. I guess I'll sit here and be comfortable for a few minutes.
And then she just like turns back to her like neutral, looking at the fire thing.
Yeah, and that's when the king says, God, I had an idea, but it's really more of a Reza thing to say than the king. The king wouldn't have said that. Something about the both of you being bitches, but so the king, because you're a wolf and she's a dog. But anyway, so he sighs and he says to you, I didn't call you here to argue with the fool. I called you here because I'm still waiting for an answer, Agatha. Why has the weather changed? Where is this curse coming from? This is no mere fall storm.
Well, didn't that monk say that it was the angels doing? God's doing.
Oh, and should I dismiss you and call him then? I'm asking you for answers, Agatha. That is why you're here, isn't it? Have you not cast bones, drawn your circles, consulted with ghosts?
The winter wind does not know why it is, merely how and when. And so when I ask it, what happened to release it early, it knows only the joy of its freedom and the mischief that it seeks to cause. It is simple, straightforward that way. To answer this question, we must look not at nature itself, but something else, something that can disrupt it. As I said in the like the throne room, that's where we had the yes, just like in your throne room, where I said that things have snuck out under God's corpse. One of them is to blame, but finding which is a difficult matter. I seek the answers. They elude me for now. Finding them, though, does not give us a solution necessarily.
I
You would do well.
I only permit you to cast your spells in my hall when you are useful to me. My people starve and freeze in the streets under this unnatural winter, and you bring me nothing. Go back and ask the spirits again. Call forth the sun if you must. I care not, but bring me answers. Else I think you'll find this castle no longer a place where you can find warmth. Plenty of space out in the snow for you, I think.
Cold and harsh.
If I may ask, then, that I be granted some additional assistance in this important matter. Nothing you couldn't stand apart with, I'm sure. And the camera, is on Joy at this point. I wish to borrow this prattling one. She'll be useful finding things, fetching things for me. The other servants, they will not talk to me. They are afraid. This one doesn't know any better.
I'm looking at the king like, no.
Yeah, and
You know, like,
he looks at you, Agatha, just like neutrally. Like he's got kind of a stone face. He says, You would ask to take from me one of my few sources of joy in this world. Huh.
joy, yes,
Yeah.
of course.
That's why he calls you that. Do I not need mirth, Agatha? I think not. I have need of her. Now, obviously, you can roll, right? Like, this is just
And
him
yeah,
initially.
I feel like there's definitely some stuff from Joy that's like, thank you, Your Majesty. Don't let me go with this seer. Who knows if I'll ever be seen again?
Then again, she is quite annoying. So no, so you can. I mean, you can try
and
to.
yeah,
convince.
Agatha's push on this will just be that yes, we all desire happiness, but I take the long view. As I said, I don't see today, only tomorrow and yesterday. And if you desire happiness tomorrow, you might need to give up joy now. Do you see what I did there?
I did.
Now I
That's
roll the
really good.
dice.
So hold on. Let's talk about this. So your intent here is that essentially the king lets you borrow his fool.
Yeah.
And what does that entail?
I just need her to be at my beck and call for a couple days while I sort this out, and then I give him his answer that he so richly desires and deserves.
Okay. All right.
That's all. 'Tis a simple request.
Okay. Now, Joy, is this a versus test? Or are you trying to convince the king no, I belong at your side, sir? Or do you want to help?
You know what? I think it's more on the king because I don't know that my words will have influence on him necessarily.
I mean, if you remind
Your
him why
words-
he loves having you around, but you did just get shut the fuck up by Agatha, right? Where
Yeah.
you have to be quiet or he's going to be mad.
Yeah, it feels like she's hindering a test against the king's will in her own favor, as opposed to making the test.
Right?
Yeah,
making the
I'm not,
idol
it's
higher.
definitely not a versus because I'm
I
not
think
the.
you know what? I
expert.
think Joy, if you hadn't just lost the ugly truth off,
Yeah.
then
I was gonna
probably
say,
you were put in your
yeah.
place. The king is dealing straight up with Agatha here. Okay, so it's just the difficulty is just the will of the king.
Which we said is 6
like it's-
plenty of times.
Yeah, he's got a will of 6. Is this a persuade test? I think it is. You're persuading him to in exchange you'll work hard and get what he wants. I feel like that's the jam here.
I mean, I would I could make an argument for ugly truth. I feel like where I'm being like, no, you can't have this thing you want because this is what's
Nah,
up.
you
Like,
want him to
these
do.
things are
You want him to
circumstances.
do something specific.
But I am trying to convince
You
him.
could fork ugly truth, but
Well, I can't fork ugly truth
That's- I was
because
gonna
I don't have persuade.
Mhm.
Now, the other option though is that this is a falsehood test because I don't actually need her help.
But you can't use falsehood to get what you want in this case, right? Like it's persuading. You could fork falsehood because you're lying about why you need her, but the lie here would be just not to get caught. Like if he was
All
like,
right, well-
if he asked you like, what do you need her for? But he doesn't care or know. He just assumes.
I will make the roll.
Yeah.
I am doomed to fail because I'm learning to be persuasive.
Yeah. You've got fate,
So-
so you can roll and all that, but also like, okay, so if you fail, here's the circumstances of failure. I think he doesn't really care either way. You've put Joy in a position to be given away. I think he'll give you the thing that you want, but it's going to be very bad for his countenance and demeanor. Like he's telling you, no, I need her around to keep me happy. And if you fail, you'll take her away and he will be very unhappy. And I don't mean like mad about it, but this will begin the king going to a dark place. So go ahead.
Yeah, that's Lady Elisandra's problem.
Uh-huh.
Wow, I didn't realize I was so entertaining.
I get a success.
You get a 1. I mean, it's a 6. So I don't know if you want to mark.
I ain't about to re-roll that.
Because this isn't a, hold on though, because this isn't a learning persuade because the obstacle is so high, right?
Yeah, it's
Oh
still
no, you have 5 dice. Okay.
because I have 5 dice. Yeah.
So I guess if you spend fate, it would go towards your will though. So if you want to.
How do you work out which?
I don't have that much fate that I can just dump it.
Yeah,
now,
okay.
So.
All right.
Because the reason it's still a routine test, even though the ob is functionally 12, is because the base ob is still 6.
Yes.
And 5 dice versus 6
5
dice
on 6 is a challenging.
It's routine.
5 on 6 is routine. 5 dice against a 6 ob.
That doesn't
Isn't
feel
it?
right.
It says it is. I don't know why.
Let me see.
I don't know. 5 die versus
6 ob is challenging.
ob 6.
Yeah,
is
that's
challenging.
a challenging will test for sure.
Okay, well there we go. I don't know why it flags it as routine.
Just to clarify it for myself, you can't have challenging tests on a skill that you're learning,
Correct. Yeah.
and it doesn't count towards learning it.
The API just thinks you're rolling it against a skill, so ignore that routine on that one just for beginner's luck. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll make a note. I'll see if we can get that changed. Beginner's luck. Okay. Yeah. 'Cause
And
we
yeah,
can-
I just checked the chart, and yeah, it is challenging. It's just a little error in that thing. So, anyways, I kind of get my way, but just that the king will be fucking miserable about
No,
it.
you
He
definitely
doesn't-
get your way. You get what
What
you
I
want.
don't convince him of is the necessity of it in that way, right? Like
Even
he
if
doesn't.
no, but even if you did, all you're saying is I need her to do witch stuff, and he's like, I don't want her to go. I'm sad, and you're like, okay, and he's like, but fine, go ahead.
I'm like, deal with it. You're the king, and he's like,
Yeah.
I guess I have to be manly and choke these emotions down.
So he turns to look at you and says to you, Joy, he says, until I call for you again, consider the court's sorceress your master.
But you're
Entertain
your
her
Majesty-
as you would me. Serve her loyally. And to disobey her is to disobey your lord and liege.
I beg you to reconsider, please. I don't. Fine. Stand up and like dust off my green tunic here.
Mhm.
Does my new lady have colors? I say, wearing green and gray.
Yeah, she just says, go to my room and start a fire.
Ugh. A servant could do these things, calling a talented entertainer to go and stoke fires and fetch things, and like she's just flustered. Like she doesn't really know what to do here. And like sort of walks past you towards the door and slowly opens it, like really, really slowly, as if she's like hoping someone will say something that like this is all just a big joke, huh, King? Good one. You never let me go. Like
Right.
as I slowly pull the door open, it creaks and she's standing in the open doorway and she goes, "How big of a fire? With what and where?"
A small one in the brazier with the charcoal provided. I won't explain everything to you. You are going to have to figure it out.
Fine. I'll take a look myself. And then I turn and walk down the hallway to where Agata sleeps. As soon as I get into her room, I go about setting the fire that I've been told
Sure. Okay.
to set. But in doing so, I look around her room for the things that I need, and thus shift everything all the fuck around.
Awesome. So you just like move
Fucking
everything
assholes.
around.
Yep.
So, Agatha, do you stay in the room with the king?
I mean, he hasn't dismissed me yet, right? So,
Right. Okay. So, yeah. So Joy, you leave, and he says, I think he's basically done with you. I think he just says to you, get out of my sight. I don't want to speak with you until you have answers for me.
it won't be long. I'll fetch them for you. And I like bow and then walk towards the door.
And as you
Go
leave,
away. Yeah.
As I say,
I'll have a little exchange here.
so yeah, as you leave, you see, and we see, standing in the shadows, right? Because she's she's by the door. We see, standing with her arms folded. We see the lady protector, and she's looking at the king. And I think it's clear as an audience by the look on her face that she's the only person in the room who understands that the king actually did need Joy around. And like she's good at hiding it, but we can see in her eyes that she's like worried for him.
And yeah, on my way out, it's not clear if it's deliberate or not, but I like put a hand on her breastplate again and like stop, as if I'm kind of like surprised to have bumped into her. Does she say anything to me on my way out?
She doesn't like move or flinch
she's all,
or
like,
anything.
Stoic.
Yeah.
So I'll just like very quietly just be like, "You come find me if you need anything. I can be useful sometimes." And she like walks out the door.
Okay. I mean, do you want to roll something to like get her to come and talk to you? Because normally I would just be like, nah, you're a creepy witch. But if you want, I want you to have the opportunity to be like, now maybe she'll think of something she needs to come to me about.
Yeah. Like I want to plant that thought in her head of like, maybe the witch is the person who can solve this problem that I've been having, whatever that problem is. I don't know what I would roll for this.
Yeah.
What's the skill for nicely offering to help someone?
I mean, it's persuasion.
Okay, cool.
Right? Because you're trying to persuade her of something that's in her best interest. Trying to be like, hey, if you need anything,
Yeah, like this is the thing. I don't expect it to be the most resisted notion. What is my ob?
It's her will, so 4.
Okay. Let's see if I can be convincing to the tune of 8 successes. Nope.
You have a fate.
I mean, sure, let's try it. So
I mean, you got 4 points. You know you're going to get more at the end of the session.
yeah, 1d6. 4. No.
Okay.
No additional successes.
All right. So the fail here, I think, is just that she continues to think of you as like the court witch, and she's also kind of mad at you for taking Joy away because she knows it's going to make the king upset.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think she just like doesn't even look at you. She just like it's like talking to a statue, and then you slip away. And I think the what we fall on is just the sound of the king opening the book. We stay on the Lady Protector's face, and we just hear the sound of the book opening and pages turning. Cool. All right. So let's fade over to Brother Miro. Miro, where do we find you? Are you like intercepting Father Robillard on his way out of Alessandra's chambers after being dismissed, or do you have someone else that you would be meeting with?
Yeah, no. This, what was it? Her chambers, or was it like a public?
It was like, yeah, her meeting. Sorry, yeah, not her actual like room.
Yeah. So Mira gets up. Like he's been hanging around like a weirdo. Like he's in one of the chairs by like the fire with a book, just like waiting to see him come out again. And he kind of slowly puts it down. He just like waits, and actually he tries to get to the door before him so he can hold the door open and just like try and walk with him to wherever he's going to speak with him.
Okay, so you want to meet him like in the hallway? Is this like a walk and talk situation, or?
For now, but
because he's headed for the door, right? He's headed to like leave to go somewhere else. Okay,
Yeah,
so it's him and his like clerk, his assistant, and yeah, the two of them are just like walking down the hall, and you just like walk up, and, like walk alongside him.
Yeah. Most esteemed Father Garrulus, I did not realize you would be gracing this place with your presence. It is good to see a man of strong faith in these times. And
I think he stops, like when you walk up, and he's kind of like turns to look at you, and he smiles and he says, "Oh, huh. Hello, brother." And he kind of like gives you a look. He's not from here. Do you want him to recognize you, like already, or not? I think any member of the clergy that was already living in Carpathia probably would be like, "Oh, you're that weird guy with the angel thing." It's iffy. It's sort of up to you.
Yeah, I figure it's only a one-die reputation for being a weirdo. So if he's not from here, then
well, let's have you make a roll, right? You can be conspicuous.
That's perfect. Actually, I'm learning to do that, so I'm happy to. What would the odd be?
Up two. You travel in the same circles.
Okay.
Oh yeah, look how conspicuous you are.
Yep.
All right. So that's yeah. He kind of like squints at you, and then he's like, "Ah, I know you. You are that scholar. The one." And he's gesturing with his hand with all the tattoos on it, and he's like, yeah, the angels have foretold this meeting. I think we have much in common."
Yeah, and I stop, and I like he's gesturing with that hand, and I'm like, yes, and I'm like really having to restrain myself from just grabbing his hand and looking at them.
Right. Yeah. So he notices, I think, because I don't think you're making any effort not to like hide it. He knows. He looks at his hand and he's like, "Ah, yes, precisely, my boy." And he looks at his servant, and he says, "Is there somewhere that we can go and speak? Somewhere more private?"
Yeah, the church is busy, so I say I'm sure my uncle, the he should be out. We can host you there if that is suitable. I'm not I'm not used to these sorts of interactions. Normally, meeting in the temple, there would be a way to do these things. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he puts his hand on your shoulder, and he says, "No worries, my boy. I'm sure your uncle's home will be fine. And he turns to his clerk and he says, go back to the conclave. I shan't be leaving. Unpack my things. Tell them I'll be staying some time longer. And the clerk is like, but sir, and he's like, I gave you an order, boy. And he's like, yeah, yes, sir. Yes, father, of course. And he like scampers off. And he says to you, Miro, he says, the snow is coming down hard out there. Best grab a cloak before we make our way out into the streets. And so, yeah, like the two of you, I think we get our first like scene outside. And I think that the way that I envision like the way things are right now is like Christmas time in Carpathia, right? Like I don't imagine it to be like miserable, horrible blizzard, but just like deep winter, right? So
Yeah.
people coming and going in cloaks wrapped up, beggars freezing in doorways. And the two of you walk the streets of Carpathia in this unnatural winter.
Yeah, and it's totally a situation whereby even if for most people it is like on the more dismal side, when the camera is walking with Miro, it's definitely festive and like Christmassy and happy.
Yeah.
Like it's hinted by his perception of the situation, which is
And
like,
I think and I think that's the conversation we come into where brother, like you've introduced each other and all that stuff. So Father Robillard says, so tell me, brother Miro, what think you of this unnatural weather? Is it, as the peasants say, a work of witchcraft? Or merely a sign that God yet looks over us? What say you?
Yes, Father. Is he Father Robillard or Father Garrulus?
Either one is fine. Father Robillard is more like, it's what his flock would call him. Like it ingratiates him to them. Father Garrulus is a little bit more distant, a little bit more like other priests might call him that. So if you want to be seen as, it depends. It's how familiar do you want to be with him?
I'll start with Father Garrulus in the hopes that we'll shift into like a different.
Then he'll be like, please call me.
Here's your opportunity. So what do you say?
Yes. Well, I do not believe that the peasants have the right of it. For indeed, it is for us to know that despite all that the Conclave has uncovered, his will still is at work within the world. His will through his more dedicated servants, of course, this time.
Yeah, and he nods and he says, so it's God's will then that we are blanketed in snow? So say you then that God yet lives? But the patriarch was wrong.
Are we in private?
No, you're just walking down the street.
No. Okay, so I say, well, Father, I cannot profess to have heard recently, or ever, I suppose, where I'd heard keep my place from God himself. To claim as such would be far beyond any position I should hold in his esteem. But his own messengers, this snow, there are tales of this land in ancient times that such portents have been seen before.
And he kind of looks around and says, I cannot find it within me to imagine what this is a portent of. But I was never much for divinations. I'm more interested in the practical applications of faith, you see.
I kind of narrow my eyes and I say, practical in the sense of manifesting his will in a way that the less faithful might not understand, perhaps? Or
He nods. He says, "Well, yes, of course. Acts of a miraculous nature, the workings of the saints, visitations by the celestial entities that serve our noble Lord and Father."
yes. All right, perfect. Then your markings. May I may we speak of those more at length when we reach the home? I have something to tell you, but
He
yeah, stop.
he looks at you curiously and he says, he says, "I'm both confounded and delighted by your mysterious nature, Brother Miro. Yes, of course. I think we'll have plenty to discuss." And I think probably, like, unless there's something else you want to say on the way, you get there and, like, you know, we see the door open and, you know, you hear him, like, you know, banging snow off of his boots and walking out into the main room of your uncle's house.
And I think without taking the requisite time to make sure that he's comfortably situated, because Mira is very overexcited about this. He says, the people here were tested sorely by the news. I sought a way to reassure them, show them a sign that they could all understand, that not all was lost. There is still value in believing, and as such, to say that this this unnatural snow is the work of an angel would not be mere speculation, Father.
Yeah, and he nods and he says, "I had the same suspicion myself. I have," and he, like, kind of looks conspiratorially around, and he's hesitating. So he's about to, like, potentially, he might reveal something important to you. You need to push him over the edge. You need to, basically, we need to make a roll here for you to, like, get into his good graces. How do you do that? How do you, like, convince him to like spill what he's maybe about to?
I think we go hard on the suasion. That's the thing that we're connecting on right here.
Yeah, you're gonna sway him.
Yeah, and I mean, I have the correct aphorism on hand. I always do. So I say to him, what would be a relevant kind of verse? The angels knew their first coming through the will of the chosen of God. They are a conduit between man and the Almighty. As such, I am lucky to be blessed in such a way, as I am sure you are also, Father.
I like how what you're legit doing here is being like, listen, I might be the chosen one of God, so like, okay, yeah, I like it. So let's have you swayed him.
All right. Okay. So we're gonna. What sort of difficulty are you looking at?
His will is 6.
Right.
But you, I'll give you an advantage for the aphorism, and you can use your reputation. Like, I think that gives you advantage as well.
Okay, so an advantage dice from
Because there's
there.
already, like, word on the street that you're a living saint, right?
Yeah. So is that just the one advantage dice between the two things?
No, it's one for each. Yeah.
Okay. I would like to, in that case, fork in both religious history in talking about the first times that the angels
Mhm.
were summoned,
Yep.
and also I think, yeah, like Emperor, like my knowledge of angels specifically.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Okay, so 4 modifiers.
Yeah, ob 6.
Ob 6. Alright, well, hopefully I can get to spend some fate on this. No.
Ooh, you got a 3, but no 6s. All right, so I think the failure here is that he's not convinced yet, right? That like maybe it's not time to like let you in on all the secrets. So he says to you, he backs off slightly. You can see the fervor like fading a little, and he says, "Talk of angels is all well and good, to speak of saints and priests and earthly things as well, but God is the King of heaven, and in his absence, we must look to the structures of the earth for sanctity. As much as I would love deeply to believe that the storm is God's will, I think perhaps just a change in weather. It breaks my heart to say so, but I believe the patriarch is right, and that our Lord God has left us." And he tries to change the subject. So he says, you spend your days in the court, Brother Miro. Know you a Lady Corvidae who dwells within as well?
Yeah, do you have a reputation specifically?
What's that?
I don't have any reputation, no.
Okay,
But I am the most well-dressed woman at court, aside from the queen. So I might stand out. But I don't specifically have a reputation.
yeah, this totally is, he would not know to like be subtle about this. And he says, yes, I believe I do, a Lady Corvidae, perhaps closer, more akin to a peacock. And he just kind of like smiles. He's like, "I made a joke."
He chuckles, and he says, "It is the nature of my house to be a preening sort." And he kind of like just like smooths back his like fading hair, and he says, "She's a relative of mine, wayward niece. I spoke with her this afternoon, hoping I could be of service to her. You see, she's a widow. Terrible tragedy. Her husband fell ill, and she has been living cast adrift. But I'm afraid that, well, these... You know how young women can be. You offer advice, but they don't listen to old men, especially old monks. She's a worldly sort. Perhaps you could do me a favor, Brother Miro."
I would do so gladly, for perhaps it is unknown to you, but her good, as the head of the house, extends down. Her branches shelter all of us in the offshoots. And I like point up like at the symbol on the wall, because we've not like talked about who my uncle is yet.
Right, yeah, and he doesn't notice either. So he looks over and he's like, and then he puts that to his chest, like, because you've just basically said, like, yeah, we're relatives, bro. Like,
Yeah.
we belong to the same house. And he says something. He's just like, like, angels be praised. I knew it. I knew that this meeting was foretold in the stars. God is great and merciful. And he clasps your hands and he says, good, brother. Then I would ask only that you speak to her. She is lost, and I fear that she will be taken advantage of. The court is full of vipers, and she is just a poor bird. Perhaps she will listen to you where she would not listen to me.
To speak truth to the heart of a willful one such as her, I may perhaps be unsuccessful, but for your favor and
Remember, Brother Miro, the tale of Saint Matthias, who was not made a saint by God for building the temple of stone, but for the hard work he put in to the construction. Do your best, my boy. And he like slaps you on the shoulder and says, I will be staying at the conclave. Merely seek after me there. In a day or two, we'll speak again. And you can see him like he's taking his cloak off the peg on the wall and like going to put it around his shoulders. Like he's like, cool, well, all right, you go talk to my wayward niece, and then maybe we can have this conversation again, and I'll let you in on some secret stuff. But he's definitely turned it around, unless there's something you want to do or say.
I think this is kind of where the instinct sort of kicks in, and he gets a little bit awkwardly. He goes to offer the cloak, but like tries to surreptitiously like brush the robe aside and like look at the arm more specifically. And obviously,
yeah. I mean, if you want to roll inconspicuous this time and try to get another, or is inconspicuous only for like crowds? Because this might be stealth or.
It's to get someone to notice you in a...
Isn't this more
No,
like
no.
sleight of hand?
This is, inconspicuous was the one I was thinking, but it might, sleight of hand might be a better.
Because you're trying to like brush his sleeve up without him noticing. That's totally sleight of hand.
Yeah, that would be sleight of hand.
So I don't think this is a test. I think this is a link test. This is a link test for Imperialia to figure out what the tattoos and stuff are about. So let's have you make a sleight of hand test now, and then if you fail, you'll have a -1 on your Imperialia test because you only got bits and pieces of what you saw.
Yes, because the intention is
That's what you actually want. Yeah. Okay, so sleight of hand is, I think, supposed to be like an opposed test.
Yeah, I'm just checking what it opens with because I obviously don't have it.
Yeah. Sleight of hand, I got it. It's agility. Oh no, it's ob. Okay, so to pick a pocket or perform, it's not even that complicated, or it's about as complicated as a simple card trick. Just an ob 1 sleight of hand test.
Okay, when it starts in agility, I'm actually not bad at agility, so let's.
So it's
start.
ob 2 becomes ob 4, right? Because it's,
Ob
you
2.
don't have it. Or sorry, it's ob 1 that becomes ob 2. That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
No Arthur for now. Base was 1. Oh. Oh. I actually had a good chance of that one as well.
All right, so you won't get a full picture, right? You certainly won't get any additional advantage. So now you can make this Imperialia test, and maybe the test is after he's left, right? Like he pulls his, you help him with the cloak. You kind of like, we see you being like, "Ugh, good," and you don't get a clear view of the tattoos except what's like on his fingers. And and he gathers the cloak around him and he pushes open the door and a cold wind kind of like blows into the house, and he holds it about himself, and he turns to look at you, and he says, I look forward to speaking with you again, brother. And and steps out into the cold. And now you can make your Imperialia test. So what do? Do you like slam the door and like run to write it down, or what do we see?
Yeah, he's fairly. I think he has a fairly kind of compulsive nature to keep these sorts of things both present and also documented. Because we've established he's kind of scholarly in that way. So yeah, it is it's kind of like the back against the door, like after somebody leaves, like cliche sort of thing.
Totally.
Runs and like, excited child.
Yeah, sweep a bunch of shit off of your desk and like slam a scroll down and just start like drawing and referring to books. Yeah, okay. I like it. All right, so let's make that test, and then we can take our last break. Let me just find the ob
Such
for
a
this.
crazy monk.
So you're at minus. No, you're at +1 ob because you don't have a full picture. You haven't had a chance to study. I can definitely see in the future this character being skinned, so you can get a proper look at him. But for now.
Right, Bludge? That's what I was thinking.
I think, yeah, like just this is all his own personal like shorthand and stuff. Let's call it ob. Let's call it ob 4, but it goes up to 5 because of the.
Okay. I would like to. I think I would fork in either ritual or symbology.
Symbology for sure.
Yeah, probably not both though, because it's like
No.
the same sort of purpose of the fork. Can I fork in? Can I fork in right in that it's going to be a case of being able to accurately reconstruct things that I've seen into like symbols or
Not in this case. I think you could make a separate right test to like get it out of your memory onto paper. But not so much for this test. This is just about recognizing what you saw.
All right, and last one is potentially obscure history. I have a very large breadth of knowledge to potentially know what these symbols reference. That would help me, as opposed to like.
I don't think necessarily that, but you do have. It does specifically call out doctrine and summoning as forks in the book.
Oh, okay. Well, I have both of those.
Yeah, both
then.
of those. So yeah.
Okay, so 3 modifiers against ob 5.
Yeah.
I don't have any. Nope.
Oh shit! Oh shit! You did it.
Can I just put some fate into it?
Yeah, you can. You got 6s. You might as well.
I did the thing wrong. Hold on.
Go.
2 more.
All right. So 7 successes. Nice work. Yeah. So
Super into it.
you'll have to get a closer look, but it looks to you like Father Robillard is preparing for a ritual of some kind. Whether he's anointing himself as some kind of sacrifice or whether this is some kind of like protective, it's in preparation for the future. You see the angelic characters for like a wall of stone, and on his hands the characters mostly revolve around like something to do with like doors or windows, like an opening. So yeah, that's what we see you hunched over your thing. And I think that we watch the candle like burn down as you study and research this, trying to figure out what he's about, and like pulling out books and studying papers and scrolls. And it grows dark in your study as you do this over the course
like
of several
the
hours.
last flickers of candlelight would cast across, because he's not got rid of the assassination circle yet. So there's probably repetitions between the two.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. All right. Well, let's grab one last break, and we'll come back and close up the episode. Stick around, everybody. We'll be back with more Burning Wheel right after this.